Hi all, this is Pixelcave, and in this video we are taking a look at Conan Exiles and what the game has to offer in 2025. If you're new to the game, then Conan Exiles is best described as an open-world survival crafting game that's set in the world of Conan the Barbarian. You can play it solo, with friends or together with other players, and that can be locally as well as on private or official servers. The game is available for PC, PlayStation and Xbox and has the option to be played in PvE and PvP, depending on the server you play on. Now, whether you are completely new to the game or have taken a break from it for a good while, Conan Exiles has seen quite a few updates since its full release in early 2018. And that means of course new features and changes that have added more content to the game over time. So let's begin with what you can expect when buying the base game and when starting to play now in 2025. Well, first off there's the character creator, which we would say still holds up well to this day. There are a lot of sliders, including the famous endowment slider, and over the past few years some new hair and face options have been added to the initial selection, though we definitely love to see more. Except for a few regions, and depending on which server you play on, the game also offers the option to be played with no, partial or full nudity. Now let's talk content. The game features one large map, the Exiled Lands, which consists of various biomes. The area along the river in the south is considered the starter zone. Then to the east you'll find a lush jungle biome. The center of the map is dominated by a vast desert, two smaller savannas and a slightly more challenging area that's called the Unnamed City. To the north you'll find the highlands, tundra, the frozen north, and finally the volcano area. As you can see, there's a lot of variety and a lot to explore. Each biome has their own points of interest and challenges, and some resources can only be found in certain areas. While you will slowly advance through the different regions, you'll also notice an increase in difficulty and the need to progress with your character for better gear. You'll also face environmental dangers from time to time, like extreme temperatures or massive sandstorms that sweep across the land. And depending on where you explore, you might also come across toxic gas and corruption. In addition to more challenging world bosses, the game also features a host of dungeons with unique settings and encounters. And if you were wondering, yes, the game has mounts. You can ride horses and camels, and it's also possible to have rhino mounts, but the majority of those have to be purchased via the in-game store and DLC content. As with many survival games, Conan Exiles boasts a reasonably complex crafting system of various tiers. From handcrafting basics to simple cooking stations, armor and blacksmithing benches, alchemy and many more. The game lets you craft a large variety of gear, weapons, and if it's your jam, building and decoration pieces. In fact, we'd say that Conan Exiles features one of the most robust building systems out there, including numerous building sets and placeables. And if you run your own server or use the game's creative mode, you can create your wildest dreams when it comes to building, from giant fortresses to cities and other intricate base designs. Another element of the game are religions. At character creation, you can choose to join one of 8 religions, with one of them being a neutral option. You can however unlock all of them later if you want. While the system feels slightly underused to this day, it offers players some unique items and placeables, and also the chance to summon gigantic avatars that can be used to wreak havoc in PvP. Now let's talk about one of the game's core features, followers. Followers are NPC sidekicks that can either accompany you on your adventures and fight by your side, or crafters that can help you at workbenches in your base and provide various bonuses. You can acquire followers via various means, that be aggressively or by purchasing and rescuing them. If you want to learn more about that, check out our dedicated video on this topic. Another type of follower are pets. There are pets that can join you in combat, help carry your loot or produce a few resources in your base. And then there are a handful of cosmetic pets that are more or less base decorations, like cats and rats. Through the game's leveling system, you can earn attribute points that can be spent to further enhance your character and also provide bonuses to you and your followers, depending on what you choose. Over time, you'll also earn knowledge points that can be used to unlock crafting recipes for gear, weapons, placeables, consumables, and so forth. Another way to learn new recipes is by exploring the Exile lands further. The world is home to countless secrets that can be found in remote or dangerous places, and beyond lore, also unlock recipes and more emotes for your character and followers. One rather large addition that made it into the game over the past years is sorcery. By learning and leveling sorcery, you can unlock powerful spells, summons, and various workstations. It's completely optional to learn sorcery, but it's definitely fun if you want to play a character that utilizes completely different game mechanics. A feature that's been part of the game since a long time are purchase. However, it's been completely reworked not long ago. Purchase are PvE raids on your base that are linked to the game's treasure system. By building a treasure coffer in your base and hoarding valuables which can be found across the world, you have the option to trigger PvE raids of varying difficulty on your base. Defeating a purge rewards you with loot and some free followers. There is also a large PvE fortress that can be raided by players. So if you're up for a challenge, combined with the dungeons, world bosses and more dangerous areas to explore, there's more than enough to keep you busy. And if you like it more peaceful, then you might enjoy the game's fairly new tavern system. By building a bar counter in your base and hiring a barkeeper, you attract NPC visitors that are not only great for creating a lively atmosphere, but you'll occasionally also have the chance to hire some of them for gold. In fact, one of the latest seasons, the Age of Heroes, has focused on making life in your base overall more immersive, with NPCs rather living in it, instead of simply being stationed at your workbenches. Now, as we said already, there's a lot to explore and discover. In fact, to this day, players that have often played hundreds of hours are still discovering new Easter eggs, the occasional lore piece or recipe they have never been aware of. Other elements that have been added to Conan Exiles over the past few years are random world encounters, which are sort of mini-events you can occasionally come across, as well as proper limited time events that get activated every few months for a few weeks and offer unique rewards and adventures. Finally, one thing that needs to be said is that the game can be quite overwhelming for anyone who is new, as it doesn't hold your hand or give you clear objectives to follow. While some players like this rather sandbox game style and love to discover things for themselves, others might easily feel lost. However, there's good news for those who need a little bit extra guidance. The game has what's called the journey system. It's completely optional, but following journey steps will teach you most basics of the game, and even reward you with a couple of cool items. Now, while this pretty much sums up the content that awaits you when jumping into the game right now, let's briefly touch base on additional content that's available outside of the base game. If you play on PC, you'll soon notice that there's a very active modding community, providing mods for pretty much everything your heart desires. From cosmetics and additional roleplay or building functionalities to entire new maps or mods that help you manage and tweak your server, there's a host of options to choose from. Unfortunately, mods can only be used on PC, so console players that want to enhance their gameplay experience have to rely on the game's DLCs and cosmetics that are available in the in-game store. All these need to be purchased with real money. DLC packs usually include an entire series of building pieces, armor sets, weapons and placeables. And while these traditional and rather generous packs are still available to buy, this type of DLC content has been replaced by the game's in-game store in 2022. Here you can find smaller assortments of items that regularly rotate in and out of the store's changing product selection. One of the last big DLCs that was released for the game is the Isle of Sipta. And while it requires the base game to be played, it's a separate experience and expansion, featuring an entire new map with new dungeons, creatures, items and regions to discover. If you want to learn more about all available DLCs for the game, make sure to check out our complete overview of everything that's available to buy. Before we talk about content updates for Conan Exiles, let's quickly talk about value for money. The base game or Conan Exiles Standard Edition currently costs £34 or €40 or US dollars respectively on Steam. And quite frankly, we'd say for the sheer number of hours you can get out of the game, the price of admission is justified. However, the game is quite often on sale, so if you want to hold back a bit and wait for a good offer, prices have occasionally come down to as low as £8.50 or €10 or US$ respectively. And if you want an even better bargain, you can add an additional 20% discount on top of the current prices, even when on sale, by using our link and exclusive promo code which we'll share in the description. Let's talk updates. In 2022, Conan Exiles changed the way the game received content by introducing seasons, or as the game calls it, Ages. Ages introduce a new themed season that comes with a new type of game feature, like for example sorcery or taverns, along with some content, items, and other additions that go hand in hand with the Ages theme. And while the first two Ages also introduced battle passes to the game, these have been recently discontinued. Now, while it's great to see a game that continues to introduce new content and features, along with regular changes and tweaks to gameplay, this usually doesn't come without challenges. As with many live service games, Conan Exiles has been plagued with various issues, from more severe game-breaking bugs to regular annoyances that can often take the fun out of the game. While this doesn't necessarily affect every player equally, just take it as a heads up that not everything might always be rosy and bug-free. That said, in a recent letter from the game's producer, the developers did announce that they would put the game's next content release on hold in favor of a major update that focuses on bug fixes, stability, and quality of life improvements. And while we don't know yet what this means for the game's future update schedule and seasons, we truly hope this will result in an overall less bumpy and more enjoyable experience for players across all platforms. Now, we hope all this gives you a better idea of what to expect from the game, and that it will help you decide whether a trip to the Exile Lands is worth it for you in 2025. If you found this video helpful and would like to see more from us, please consider giving it a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe or become a member of our channel. Your support makes all the difference.